Life in the lands between is dreary. In these lands, violence is the only way to thrive. The rune of death was stolen, and yet these lands stay so full of death. I have braved many battles along this journey that many others could not survive, and have started down the path to creating a better future for these lands. But the price that has already been paid weighs heavy on my soul. I have witnessed so much death in my travels. Castle Stormvale, overflowing with the scraps of Tarnished used for grafting. The village of the Albinarics, slaughtered by a psychotic omen killer. Raya Lucaria, filled with mindless zombies of those lost to the magic. And Caelid, decimated by the decay of Melania's blooming. I have lost close friends and comrades already. Rogier, the sorcerer, conqueror of Margit. Nefeli Lu, hero of vengeance. Iji, kind-hearted diplomat. And Blythe, loyal shadow. All of this death left my mind scattered with the faintest hint of something hot tickling the back of my mind. Not all is lost, however. I met a doll who claimed that they sought a better path for the world. I cling to that hope as I search for the Erd Tree to make her future a reality. May those I lost not be forgotten. May the future I bring be the best one. If I am to succeed in this, then I need to make it to the Erd Tree, to claim the Elden Ring, and make Ranni a god. Unfortunately for me, I cannot activate the lift to the capital, and I am unsure of what I must do. There is only one option for me as of now. Continue to explore, and hope that grace provides the answer. I ride through Liurnia with Torrent's hooves splashing as we gallop. As I ride, I notice a gazebo in the distance. As I approach the gazebo, a faint voice calls out to me for assistance. I can't help but to see if I can help them in some way. I enter the gazebo to find a woman with terrible posture standing inside. I speak with her, and she tells me that she was sent here as a task from her mistress, but she was mugged. They took a necklace that was precious to her, and now she needs someone to help her get it back. She then tells me that the one who robbed her was also a Tarnished. Long ago, before the reign of the Golden Order, a great barbarian led a clan of warriors. This barbarian had incredible strength unlike any before him. This barbarian was Hoarah. Queen Marika, seeing his immense strength, married Hoarah. But if he was to be the lord to her, then he would have to look the part of a lord. He was forced to change his name to Godfrey and donned a great lion named Sirash, who would calm his bloodlust. Marika blessed Godfrey with grace that would strengthen him even further and guide him to where he was needed. He then conquered the lands between with the warriors who had been loyal to him from the beginning. At the end of the war, Godfrey and his warriors remained undefeated. When the last enemy fell, the grace left Godfrey and all of his warriors. Marika had stripped them of their grace and then exiled them from the lands between. They were to go to other lands where they would wage war and die worthy deaths. She then told them that they will gain the power needed to one day return to the lands between when they regain what she has taken. The power will allow one of them to brandish the Elden Ring. This led to them gaining the title of the Tarnished, those champions from a time of war before there was order that lost their grace. The woman tells me that if I do not wish to fight another of my kind, that she would be willing to find another. I, however, am not loyal to the Tarnished, as my future now lies in Ranni's fate, so I agree to assist her in retrieving this lost necklace. She thanks me, and informs me that the thug is resting in an abandoned home nearby. So I head in the direction she guided me towards, and I come across a cobblestone shack standing alone in the lake. I make my way around the building to find a man sitting in the front with a pot of boiling prawn sitting in front of him. The man wears a metal mask that shackles around his neck and ragged torn clothing. I speak to the man and he asks me what I want, and I tell him that I am here for the necklace. He tells me he is willing to sell it. I say deal and buy the necklace from him. I could have taken it by force, but there has already been enough bloodshed recently, and this man just seems like he is trying to find a way to live. I return to the woman and give her the necklace. She thanks me and tells me she is in my debt. She then introduces herself as Raya, in service of Lady Tanith of the Volcano Manor. She is tasked with seeking out Tarnished who might join the manor. She says that my strength is what they seek. Then, she hands me a letter with an invitation to Volcano Manor. She tells me to seek the Altus Plateau. Also, that this land is connected to the plateau by the Grand Lift of Dectus, and that the lift has not worked for some time. Then she tells me that there is a secret tunnel through the old ruins at the base of the Grand Lift. With this advice, I finally have my way to continue towards my goal. To the cliffs at the base of the Grand Lift I go, to find a secret tunnel that will lead me to the lands of the Erdtree. I race through Liurnia towards the base of the lift, passing giant mollusks along the way. I approach the cliffs to see wooden scaffolding that climbs the side of the cliff. I climb multiple ladders and enter the tunnels. I make my way through the tunnel, fighting stone miners and tiny shadowmen along the way. This tunnel leads to an elevator that takes me up, then through another tunnel. I make my way back outside and up another elevator. I fight some more shadowmen, bats, and harpies as I continue to follow the ladders that scale the cliffs. This leads me to a cave, where I approach an archway covered in a great golden fog. I push my way through the fog and enter a large empty chamber. All is quiet and peaceful as I approach a stone structure in the middle of the room. I see something shift behind the stone pillar. Suddenly, a large worm sprints out from behind the pillar, spewing lava from its mouth. This great lizard crawls on 4 legs, its stomach sliding across the ground as it moves. Its tail whips back and forth, slapping at anything it passes. 2 weak and tattered wings protrude from its back, standing useless. This is Magma Makar. In the lands between, there is a practice that is frowned upon. This practice involves the slaying of dragons, then taking their hearts and consuming them to obtain the power of dragons. There are those who will consume as many hearts as it is required to become a dragon. This is the result of that hunger for power. It is said that this form is a curse for their sinful transgressions. To seek to become a dragon that can soar great heights and instead become a worm that may only crawl on its belly. This worm vomits lava as it quickly crawls across the ground, leaving puddles of lava behind it. It spits balls of lava from its mouth like a cannon, and it slashes with its great sword in wide arcs that shatter stone. But in the end, it is only a failure to become a dragon, and I am a dragon slayer. The worm falls over as it is stunned. When its head hits the ground, I slam my sword into its eye, then rear back and hit it one more time with greater power. This blow sends the worm reeling as it turns to white dust. I then make my way through the room and up another wooden elevator. This elevator comes to a stop at the top, where I can see stony hills to the left and right, with bright golden grass on a path ahead that leads up a smaller hill. I climb the hill and see dozens of abandoned and discarded carriages littering the path forward. I see a grace in front of me, and I sit at it. As I do, Melina appears to tell me that the Erdtree is close, and that we are getting close to the end of our agreement. She then tells me she was born at the foot of the Erdtree. This is where her mother gave her purpose to burn, and now she has to discover for herself why she must burn. She then leaves in a blue mist. Who is Melina's mother? Who is so important that they may sit at the foot of the Erdtree and tell their child to sacrifice themselves to burn the Erdtree? There is only one family that is known to have ruled in the time of the Erdtree, and only one that has held the power since its creation, and that would be the Golden Order. Could Melina be the daughter of Marika? As far as the world is aware, Marika only had 2 children with Radagon, Melania and Mikola. Is it possible that she had a third? For now, that does not matter. What matters is getting to the Erd Tree. So I make my way up the sloped path ahead. As I near the top, I can see the Erd Tree looming overhead. Suddenly, a great white dragon with 4 wings crashes into the path ahead of me. I rush to slay the beast. As I close the distance, the dragon lets out a bellowing roar and calls down red lightning that strikes from the skies above. I avoid the lightning and start striking it in the leg. After a few hits, the dragon flies away. With it gone, I continue up the path. As I reach the top of the hill, I can see that standing off in the horizon is the giant, golden Erd Tree, towering above the city walls of the capital. I go down a path to my right and find some old ruins. In these ruins, I run into Raya again. She tells me that she has been waiting for me, as she knew I would make it. She formally invites me to the Volcano Manor. She asks me to take her hand and says that I will have an audience with her mistress. Trusting, I take her hand. I am then transported from these ruins. I find myself standing in a beautiful manor. There are red curtains hanging from the ceiling, tied to columns by golden ropes. A large wooden table with elegantly carved wooden chairs sitting around it. A stone fireplace with a red flame that burns, lighting the room in a red hue. Ahead, there is a painting of the lord of this manor, and sitting below that portrait is the lady of this manor with her trusted bodyguard standing watch next to her. I approach the lady and speak with her. She welcomes me to the manor and introduces herself as Tanith, the proprietress of the house. She says Raya spoke well of me, a warrior of promise. She asks if I will commit to them and join the Volcano Manor to resist the tide. They oppose the Golden Order and the Two Fingers. Though my loyalty is still to Rani, it would be good to see what these of the manor are planning. So I agree to join under the guise of loyalty. She tells me I am now a member of the family, and gives me a key to the room down the hall where I may take some time to relax. She tells me to make sure I earn my keep. I then make my way down the hallway and enter a room on the left. I enter to find Raya, who tells me she is happy that I am here. A knight in a suit of armor named Bernal, who warns me that what Volcano Manor does is treason. And a letter on a table that I pick up. The letter tells me of my first target with the name of Old Knight Istvan, and that he is located in Limgrave. The letter does not tell me why this Tarnished is a target, but I do what is requested of me anyways. So, I dress for the task and go for the target. I approach a coliseum in Limgrave. As I approach, I find my target. Istvan is an old knight clad in corroded metal armor that is reinforced with rock-hard scales. It is rare that a Tarnished lives to see old age. This proves that Istvan was a skilled warrior and has been his whole life. This is probably why the manor wishes to see him gone, to show the strength of the manor. He is, however, slow. The fight ends swiftly as I assassinate Istvan, and I return to Volcano Manor. I speak with Tanith, and she tells me that she is pleased, and I am now considered one of them. She tells me that Volcano Manor fights to tread the path of champions. This path is tainted, but they see it as the true path to valor. She says that she is pleased to have me on her side. I find myself one step closer to understanding their true mission as they start to believe I am loyal to them. I return to the room with the first letter to find a new letter sitting there. I pick it up and read it to discover that the new target's name is Riley the Idol, and they are located in Altus Plateau. I speak with Raya before I leave, and she tells me that sometimes she can hear something behind the walls, breathing and slithering. But she thinks that she just must be tired, because that couldn't be true. I then speak with Bernal, and he says that I have become bloodied. I am now a wretched being, as are all that fight for this manor. He says, all you can do is laugh. With that, I take my leave and head to the Altus Plateau for Raleigh the Idol. I approach a passage between two cliff faces to find Raleigh. Raleigh wears an armor set worn by confessors, wielding a black crossbow and using a vial that silences the wearer. The crossbow and vial were once owned by a man named Creepus. Creepus was the head confessor for the Two Fingers. The confessors were assassins who served the Two Fingers to silently assassinate any who they were told to. It is very likely that Raleigh the Idol is truly Creepus the Confessor. This would make the motivations of the manor in this instance very clear. They wish for the greatest assassin for the Two Fingers to be assassinated by one of their own to prove that they have the greatest assassins to ever live. So, I assassinate the Two Fingers' greatest assassin and return to the manor. Tanith tells me that it is time I learned the name of the true ruler of the manor. It is Lord Rykard. Lord Rykard was the third of 3 children of Queen Renala and Lord Radagon, making him brother to Ranni the Witch and Starscourge Radahn. Before the Shattering, Rykard was a praetor, meaning he kept justice. Rykard was ruthless and tortured all who were considered heretics to the Golden Order. During this time, he lived in Volcano Manor and began to uncover ancient magma hexes of a forgotten serpent-worshipping cult that used to live in Mount Gelmir. He turned these runes to sorcery to be used as a weapon. Rykard, with his own blasphemous intentions, was quite close with Ranni and assisted her in planning the Night of the Black Knives. It is because of this plan that Godwyn the Golden was assassinated and Marika shattered the Elden Ring. The shattering angered Rykard. He saw this as an act of abandonment by the Greater Will. With this anger, he declared war on the gods themselves. His wars were violent, and he made terrible, blasphemous weapons. Nobody has heard from him in a long time, and many had assumed him dead. Clearly, that is not so. Tanith informs me the Erdtree had blessed the Tarnished with grace, but it was too meager for their enormous task. She says that like the Shardbearers, the Tarnished had to scramble for power as well, and received mostly crumbs. Lord Rykard acted in rebellion against that life, and that if I become a great champion of the manor, then I will get to meet him. I return to the room with the letters. I pick up a red letter from the table. Before I read it, I speak with Bernal. He gives me a letter and invites me to go with him to hunt some of the first Tarnished to ever sit at the Round Table Hold. I also notice that Raya is not in the room. As I leave the room, I see the door across the hall is open. I make my way in and find a snake person standing there. It does not attack me, so I speak to it. It tells me that this is not a guest room and that I should not be here. It then asks why I am looking at it with a weird look. It then asks, in shock, if it is still in its serpent form. It dawns on me that this serpent is Raya. She is distressed that I have seen her true form, but is grateful that I am treating her the same as I always do. Then, she tells me her true name is Zorias. She says that this lie is her own, and that I should not mistrust the manor, for everything else is as it seems. Raya was adopted by Lady Tanith when she was a young serpent. Tanith had told her that she was born of a glorious king. People are cruel and would try to hurt her if they knew the truth. So, she hides her true form to recruit new Tarnished. The names Zorias and Raya's serpent form were only known by her and Lady Tanith. Now the secret is shared with me, and I am asked to keep it. I tell Tanith that I saw the true form. She asks that I keep the secret safe, so I promise to. I open Bernal's letter to see the target and find that there are 2. They are Vargrim the Raging Wolf and errant sorcerer Wilhelm. They are located in the capital, so if I am to get to them, then I must find my way to the capital. I return to Altus and start to make my way to the capital pointed by the guidance of grace. It leads me to a worn stone path that leads to a staircase with a massive set of doors. I have to fight 2 knights in golden-clad armor on 2 golden-armored horses. Then, continuing down the path, I face a great gargoyle. As I travel more, the path stops and is replaced with a war-torn field. I see a man standing alone in the field, and I dismount my horse to approach him. As I do, a familiar voice says it sees me, and the man, in a shower of golden dust, transforms into Margit, the Fell Omen. We have a brief battle, and as he falls to the ground, he begins to turn into a golden dust, and the body of the man falls out of it lifeless. How did Margit return? It appeared as if that was more of an illusion, more akin to the vision I fought back in Raya Lucaria with Renala. Could this mean that Margit is still alive somewhere? Did I even fight the real Margit in Stormvale? I find myself approaching a demolished church, and I see someone lying on the ground reaching out. I approach to find that it is Yura. He says he is no match for someone named Eleonora. He has learned some things and sliced off the bloody finger. He begs her to yield to the cessblood no longer. He begs her not to stain her blade, body, and fire, as he falls limp, lifeless. Then, a woman appears in a red puddle of blood. Eleonora, the violet bloody finger, has appeared to slay me the same way she did Yura. Eleonora was once the beloved of Yura, but after a series of unknown events, she would give in to the cessblood of some faction called the Mogwin Dynasty. This cessblood would corrupt Eleonora and turn her into a bloody finger, hunter of all Tarnished. Once she was corrupted, she lost all sense of who she once was. Yura never lost hope and chased her to the ends of the world, trying to end her corruption. This led to him being struck down by the one he loved most in this world. Yura died trying to save her from herself. I, however, am not Yura. As I stare at Yura lying lifeless, the thoughts of Rogier, Nefeli, Blythe, and Iji flood into my mind, and as a heat pulses behind my eyes, I attack her relentlessly, not giving her the chance to strike back. She falls and disappears into a bloody puddle. The heat fades, and I can think clearly again. I'm sorry, Yura. Another friend, lost to this cruel world. I will make everything worth it in the end. I continue my trek to the capital as I pass golems launching arrows at me. I start to come up to the walls of the capital, and as I turn a corner, I see an entrance with a golden fog covering it, and standing in front is a knight in scaled, spiky golden armor on a horse that also dons spiky golden armor. I make my approach on foot, and as I do, the draconic tree sentinel rushes towards me. They wield a large hammer made from the claw of a dragon, and a shield that is spiked as if to slash. He slams the hammer down, causing the ground to tremble. His horse launches fireballs as if it were a dragon. He slashes with his shield as if it was a great set of claws. He charges his hammer with red lightning as if he were an ancient dragon. He swipes his hammer from below as if he were playing polo. And he calls lightning to strike around him in an array of lasers. This is a formidable knight that has trained to understand the power of dragons. But I am the Dragon Slayer, and I slay this mock dragon. As the enemy falls, the fog lifts, and I make my way up the stairs to a long bridge. I make my way across this long bridge and into the halls beyond. I travel through the stone hallway until I reach a wooden elevator at the end. I travel up the elevator and through some more stone hallways until I find myself in a chapel. At the end of the chapel is a set of wooden doors that are wide open to reveal a set of stone steps leading up. I make my way up these stairs, and as I do, I get a glimpse of the enormity of the Erd Tree as it engulfs the sky above like a beacon of the sun striking through the night sky. I can see that the base of the tree has a great stone bridge that climbs its way into the trunk of the tree. That must be where I need to go. But there is only one path forward. So I head down the hallway to my right and come to a room where there is a square of dirt that a grace has grown out of. I sit at the grace, and Melina appears. She gives her thanks for bringing her to the base of the Erd tree. She says, from here, she can go her own way, and that I have fulfilled my agreement. She says this is farewell, but she will leave Torrent and the power to turn runes to strength with me, so that I may continue my journey. She wishes me luck, and says that she has no doubts that I will become the Elden Lord. And with that, she vanishes. I am glad I have assisted her, though it is a bittersweet moment. I have helped her, but now I am all alone, and as long as I am in this capital, I don't have Torrent either. I am completely alone. I must make it to the tree, for Ranni. But is this what I want? This whole journey has been to do what others want. But what about me? I push those thoughts away. This is for a better future. For the world. Like Ranni told me it was. She wouldn't lie, right? I stand up from the grace and exit the room. The faint tickle of heat pulses at the back of my mind as I come out to see the golden roofs glittering in the light of the Erd tree and a gargantuan stone statue of a dragon standing over the whole city. Except, this dragon wasn't always a statue. This ancient dragon was known as Grand Sax. Grand Sax at some point decided to attack the capital, though the why is unknown. This was the only time in recorded history that the walls of the capital had ever been breached. During this attack, Godwyn the Golden held as the capital's strongest defense. Godwyn was a true warrior like his father before him. After Grand Sax was defeated and turned to stone, Godwyn fought a dragon named Fortisax and defeated them. They became friends through this battle, and Godwyn learned to use lightning like the dragons. But he infused it with holy energy of the Golden Order, turning the red lightning to gold. He then taught the knights of the capital to use this lightning. This reinforced the capital's defenses, making them stronger than ever before. This strength is why Godwyn was struck down in the Night of the Black Knives. If he were to live, then he surely would have claimed the Elden Ring and became the new god of the Golden Order. I head down the path to the left, striking down the strange creatures in white that play music from golden horns. I enter a building with wooden floors and enter a wooden elevator. This elevator descends down, allowing an exit to a bridge below. I cross the bridge and travel through a wooden room filled with perfumers, over a stony balcony, through a marble room, down some wooden stairs, through another marble hallway, into a marble room filled with perfumers, and finally, outside. From here, I follow the path going to the left. I am blocked by an avatar of the Erd tree, a large wooden creature that embodies the spirit of the Erd tree, that I swiftly remove, then continue forward. After more traversal, I come to a bridge that has access to jump onto the wing of Grand Sax. I scale Grand Sax, then jump into a building. After some more travel, I come to the building that was marked by Bernal for my target. I enter this building to find that it is a perfect replica of the Round Table Hold. That is because this was the original Round Table Hold during the time of Godfrey. A place where he would not exist as a lord, but as an equal, where warriors could speak their minds freely without fear of punishment. Now, it is abandoned, and it has been ever since the exile of the Tarnished. I enter the main hall to see Vargrim the Raging Wolf and errant sorcerer Wilhelm. Vargrim wears a set of armor with the pelt of a white wolf adorning his helm. He was named the Raging Wolf because of this pelt. It is said that wolves are the shadows of the Empyreans, and Vargrim aspires to be like them, serving the True Fingers loyally. Wilhelm, however, is the opposite. Wilhelm was a seeker of knowledge. He was so obsessed with sorcery that he went so far as to contact the primeval current, an outer god that created glintstone magic. This is seen as blasphemy to the Golden Order. Wilhelm was guided to confrontation with Vargrim, who then locked him up in the Round Table hold. Now, they both fight to survive the assassins that seek to end the oldest members of the Round Table hold. Unfortunately for them, Bernal joins me. Bernal and I split as he takes Vargrim in a one-on-one. I do the same with Wilhelm. We both defeat our respective targets. Then Bernal returns to the manor, and I do the same. I return to the manor and walk down the hallway that leads to the letter room. I notice something new at the end of the hallway. A glimmer of gold in the shape of a person. As I approach the figure, it begins to speak a desperate plea. Someone, please kill him. The horrendous serpent. Praetor Rykard. I reach the figure to find it to be the spirit of a tarnished warrior. I speak with the spirit and it notices that I am a tarnished, and he understands that I am here to slay the demigods. He pleads with me to kill the great serpent and tells me that it devoured Rykard. He tells me that he left a serpent-slaying spear in the Lord's chamber. He asks me to brandish the spear and destroy the great serpent. During the time of the Golden Order, Rykard met an outer god named the Great Serpent. The Great Serpent taught Rykard of many ancient hexes that he could turn to spells. The serpent whispered to him the idea of great unending power. Rykard took these secrets in, but never let them consume him. When Rykard chose to wage war on the gods, it was from the mind of one who felt insulted. He found the idea of fighting over scraps of power to be debasing, and a betrayal by the greater will. Where the Golden Order wanted him to fight for scraps, the Great Serpent wanted to offer power. Seeing this as the greater choice, he declared war on the gods, and taking by force became rule. It was this notion of the strong take that made him a worthy leader to the Tarnished warriors who knew only war. To the warriors that followed him, the belief was freedom through strength. What was unknown to them was the true intentions of Rykard, whose ambition later led him to feeding himself to the Great Serpent, growing its power with the power of a demigod. Unsure of what to do about that knowledge, I enter the room I found Raya in before and find her still standing there. She seems disturbed and a little shaken. I speak with Raya, and she tells me that she must be seeing things, but she thought she saw something slither into the room next to the one she's in now, and says it never came out. I enter the room she spoke of, but find it empty, all except for a corpse, which lies next to a wall with a crooked painting. I approach the wall, and it disappears to reveal a secret passage. Naturally, I enter the passage and find myself face to face with a serpentine snail. I slay it and begin to traverse these tunnels. I follow the hallway to enter a large storage room full of snails. I clear this room and make my way down a set of stairs that lead farther in. At the bottom of the stairs, I find myself in another storage room, but this one has a Bloodhound Knight inside. Bloodhound Knights are similar to the shadows of Empyreans. They serve only one master and are very loyal. I slay this knight and follow another hallway which exits to a chapel. At the far end of this chapel is a set of doors. I make my way through the doors to find myself on a cliff overlooking the lava lake below. I head down the path to the right, where I find a town's worth of buildings and serpent people who wander around here. I traverse across the rooftops, fighting the serpents the whole way. I drop off the last building and travel up some stairs which lead to a bridge. I slay another serpent and find a locked building. I climb up a ladder on the side and jump through a hole in the roof to enter a room full of tortured Albinarics. They immediately begin to attack me, and I am forced to slay them. I clear them, and then head through the door that leads down the stairs to a hallway. At the end of the hallway is a set of wooden doors that I open to reveal that I am on the floor of a lava lake with crumbling buildings scattered about. I climb down a ladder and jump over the lava to traverse across magma stone. I rush past magma snails and servants to find myself coming to a platform and fighting a serpent wielding a lava whip. I defeat them and take an elevator up. I exit to find a staircase leading up that has a black flame priest standing guard. I beat him, then travel up the stairs and enter a big chapel. The chapel has great stone statue carvings of serpents lining the columns and hanging over the path to the altar. A red carpet adorned with golden tassels guides a path to the altar, where above it hangs a gargantuan skin of the great serpent shed long ago. If this skin is so massive now, how much bigger has the serpent grown? As I approach the center of the room, a black flame bursts and reveals a godskin apostle identical to the one I fought on the bridge to Ranni's tower. They use the same attacks as the other, and I make quick work of them. I then take an elevator on the right side of the room up to a balcony which I follow outside. I jump off the balcony, down onto the cliffside, and begin to travel again. I travel across a stone bridge covered by magma snails, jump down to a lower ledge that leads up to higher ground, jump across a magma lake and into a tower, exit the room, across the bridge, taking out a serpent man, up some stairs, across a long hall, into a room, and open a set of doors to find myself in a large throne room filled with serpents and servants. I clear the room of enemies and then exit onto a balcony where I find a transporter. I touch the portal and find myself appearing in a cave somewhere deep below. I follow the cave leading down a dark tunnel where only a golden fog at the end illuminates the passage. I enter through the fog and find myself in a large, cavernous room where a writhing mass lies in a pool of lava at the end of the room. Chandeliers hang from the ceiling, and columns forged together with bodies and lava support the cavern. A body to the left has a hand outstretched with a spear in its hand. I take the spear and head towards the great mass. As I approach, the mass unfurls to reveal a great serpent where I am the size of its mouth, with two human-like arms on either side. I swing the great spear, and a large gust of wind in the shape of a point stabs out as I slash the serpent. With only a few hits, it falls to the ground. Its limp body lies with its head upside down on the ground.
Very well. Join myself and King as family. Together we will devour the very god.
Its body begins to shift as the head lifts up into the air. Its head fallen limp, still upside down as it rises. The body then turns to reveal its back. Except on its back is a face with eyes shut. The eyes slowly open as if awakened from a slumber, and its mouth opens to exclaim, "Very well." It then reaches a hand into the mouth of the serpent, driving it all the way down to the elbow. It shifts as if searching for something. Then, with a shaking struggle, it begins to pull a sword out from the serpent's throat. As it is removed, bodies fall out of the serpent's mouth and burn away in the lava below. The sword is revealed to have a mass of writhing snake tongues covering it and flicking in all directions. The creature then speaks and tells me to join the Serpent King's family. Together, we will devour the very gods. Rykard was given great power from this serpent god over the course of his heresy. Together, they had a deal. Rykard would worship the serpent and bring it followers to devour and grow stronger from, so that one day it could devour the gods. In turn, Rykard would be given great power to challenge all those who oppose him. Rykard would then have Tarnished recruited and become strong, so that they could gain power and be fed to the great serpent, making it grow larger and stronger. This act continued for a long partnership until one day, Rykard's ambition led him to the idea of feeding himself to the great serpent and giving it a demigod's strength. This led to a union where their power combined and led to Rykard fusing with the great serpent. With their combined strength, they will devour the gods, making them the one and only god. They did not seem ready for the war on gods yet, so they had Lady Tanith continue to recruit Tarnished. They would do a series of tasks challenging their strength, and once deemed ready, fed to the serpent, growing its power. This time, however, he tried to bite off more than he could chew. Rykard stands with an imposing visage. His large sword climbs to the height of a tower. The writhing tongues stretch across his entire body, reaching out to feel its surroundings. He stands with a menacing presence. But the power of the spear makes him an easy target. With the will of all the fallen Tarnished before me, I strike at Rykard with a flurry of slashes. He is defenseless against my relentless assault, and I destroy him with no effort. This was the serpent to devour the gods. After he is slain, I sit at the grace and discover Tanith to be eating Rykard's corpse, trying to consume him so that he may be born anew. In disgust, I slay her. Her bodyguard then appears to enact his vengeance, and I slay him too. I return to Volcano Manor to see Raya, but she is nowhere to be found. It seems with all the pain and misery, she must have fled. With disappointment and disgust, I return to the capital. As I travel, all I can think is, what would Ronnie think of this? How would she feel about her brother who she trusted so much, giving himself to an abomination so that he may devour gods and grow in power? Would she be opposed to it? Or are her intentions more aligned with his? Not necessarily devouring gods, but killing them off so that she may be the one and only. These thoughts plague my mind, and heat tickles the back of my brain as I return to the capital. Back outside of the roundtable hold, there is a tree root that I climb onto. I begin to scale this root as it climbs up the side of the tallest tower. I have to fight a few tree guardians on the way, but I make my way up to an opening in the building. Before me is a great carved stone archway. Inside, I can see an empty room with a wooden balcony ahead. Another tree root guides up to the balcony. As I enter the room, the exits are covered in a golden fog as a translucent golden image of Godfrey appears to guard this place. He slams his axe into the ground with a precise cut. He smashes the ground with an earth-shattering stomp. He swings the axe in a wide swinging cut that crashes to the ground, and then starts to turn as he trades the handle over to the other hand, using the momentum of the swing to get the strongest swipe. He flurries his swipes in an X pattern as he gets quick strikes in. He slams his axe into the ground, then swipes from side to side like a broom before bringing it down with a crash from overhead, using the momentum of the large blades. And he reaches back, holding the very bottom of the haft as to get as much reach as possible with this long weapon as he swings down like a hammer with the length of a spear. This, however, is not Godfrey, but merely an illusion of him. With a great blow, I stagger him as he goes for an attack. Then I slam him with the blade of the axe and follow up, bringing the weapon back even farther and using the momentum, hit him again, pushing him away from me. As he slides to a stop, he reaches forward as he turns to a golden dust. From here, I travel onto a balcony on my right and up a tree root that reached to the wooden balcony above. This takes me to a curved stone bridge. Bodies lie on both sides of the bridge as I make my way across. At the end, I find a small staircase and something sitting at the top. As I climb the steps, the figure rises and reveals itself to be a Black Knife assassin. Rage of what they did to Blythe and E.G. fuels me as I strike it down. Why is one of them here? Is this where they were sent from? Is whoever that is making all of these illusions the one who sent them after Ronnie? Whoever they are, I can almost guarantee that they are sitting at the foot of the Erd Tree. I enter the chamber ahead and discover that I am in the Queen's Chamber. A great veil hangs from the ceiling and splits into 6 directions. A light casts down from the ceiling through the circular metal holding the veil. The light shines down onto a great stone bed. Stone tablets are stacked in huge piles across the entire room. Marika must have been searching for something in all of these tablets. I exit the large opening on the right and find myself looking at a bridge that leads to a staircase that stretches up to an archway at the base of the tree that is covered in a golden fog. The bridge is covered in golden leaves that have fallen from the Erd Tree above, and more leaves gently float down as they fall to add to the collection. As I approach the incomprehensibly enormous tree ahead, I can truly understand its majesty, as a large stone carving of the Erd Tree is carved into the trunk. The air is calm, and everything is quiet, with the sound of rustling leaves as I make my way up the stairs. The presence of the golden fog gives me both anticipation and fear that my journey is coming to an end. Whoever is standing behind this fog is my last true obstacle before I enter the Erd Tree. At the top of the stairs, I see a sign on the ground. Melna wants to help me with this battle, our final act as a team. I accept her help. She has just as much to lose as I do if I were to lose this fight. So, together we go to defeat the force pulling the strings and enter the fog gate.
Graceless, tarnished. What is thy business with these thrones? Godric the Golden. The twin prodigies, Mikola and Melania. General Radahn. Praetor Rykard. Lunar Princess Rani. Willful traitors, all. Thy kind are all of a piece. Pillagers, emboldened by the flame of ambition. Have it writ upon thy meager grave. Felled by King Morgoth, last of all kings.
We enter to find a great open courtyard, with 6 illusionary thrones sitting in a half-circle formation, and 1 real wooden throne sitting in the middle of the room. Behind the throne is a staircase shrouded in shadow, with the silhouette of someone standing there. The shadow makes its way down the stairs, revealing Margit the Fell Omen. He then lists off all of America's children and calls them traitors to the Golden Order as he makes his way down the stairs. Margit then stabs his cane into the ground and changes his grip on it from a cane to a sword, then rips it back out of the ground. He crushes the handle of his cane, which cracks the wood along the rest of the cane. The wood falls away to reveal an inky black curved blade. He then threatens the demigods and us, saying to have written on our graves, "Felled by King Morgott, last of all kings," declaring himself the Elden Lord. In the lands between, Omen are seen as abominations. Omen born of commoners have their horns cut off as babies. This ends the Omen's life. If they manage to survive somehow, then they are left in the wilds where Omen killers hunt them relentlessly. Omen born from nobility, however, are allowed to keep their horns, but are shackled and locked away underground to live wandering aimlessly. Morgott and his twin brother Mohg were two noble-born Omen. They are the children of Queen Marika and Lord Godfrey, brothers to Godwyn the Golden. Morgott and Mohg were locked underground, and they grew into adulthood. The twins were almost opposites in their personalities and beliefs. When they were underground, Mohg came to resent his parents and the Golden Order, but Morgott came to love the Golden Order and wanted to do nothing more than keep its peace. Drawn to the cursed blood of the Omen, the two met an outer god named the Formless Mother. It offered to give them great power. Mohg accepted this, seeing it as a gift. But Morgott resented it, seeing it as an affront to the greater will. During the time of the Shattering, the two Omen escaped and went their separate ways. Morgott came to the capital and disguised himself, hiding his true identity and trying to do anything he can to stop those who oppose the greater will, including attacking a Tarnished and slaughtering Ranni's council. Now, Morgott stands in front of me, declaring himself a king, and all I see is the burning body of Iji and the red eyes of Blythe. Morgott lunges at me and swipes with his inky sword as I roll to avoid. I roll back around to the front and strike him with my axe. Before I get a second attack off, Morgott swings and hits me with the sword and hammer as I get launched backwards, dust flying as I make impact. I stand up, and as he crashes his great hammer into the ground, I roll away, granting me distance. I then rush in and swing. Just as I make contact, he takes a swift strike with his blade, smacking the back of my helmet. I continue to roll as I avoid his next few attacks. Then, Morgott leaps backwards across the field. He rushes back towards me, blade held out, and as he swipes at me, I roll away from him to avoid being hit. As I close the distance, he takes stance to swipe, and I roll under his blade as he slashes horizontally. I avoid his blade and strike him. Just as I do, Melina sends out golden waves of energy that crash onto Morgott's body in a golden explosion. Morgott rears back with his great hammer and brings it down, hitting the ground next to me. The shockwave sends me flying backwards as I ragdoll through the air. I stand back up, and as I do, Morgott summons 50 spectral golden blades above us. Melina and I rush Morgott, and just as I go to strike, he slams the blades into the ground. 2 stab into my back. I tank the hits to get 2 strikes on Morgott, and as I go for a third, he slams his golden hammer into my side, sending me flying. I stand up, and as I do, Morgott reels back to slam down the golden hammer. Despite the distance in between us, the shockwave of the impact sends me flying. I stand up and roll to avoid as Morgott slashes at me. I strike him, and as I do, he leaps away, throwing a golden dagger at me. He throws another one, and I leap into the air to avoid it. As I bring my axe down, Morgott cartwheels away from the impact, landing behind me. He does a swipe dash forward and slashes across my back as I roll to avoid. He lands with a slash, striking me as I come out of my roll. He summons a golden sword and becomes a tornado as he spins to strike at me. I roll and avoid. At the end of the spin, he slams them onto the ground, and as he does, Melena's golden strike flies over his head, but hitting him in the tail. I come out of my roll and slam my axe into his side as the blade hits the ground. Morgott stands up, and I land a strike as Melina sends wave after wave of golden rippling energy. Morgott falls to his knees, stunned, and coughs up golden dust. He then screams as golden energy explodes around him, sending a shockwave throwing me away from him as the ground becomes covered in a golden water. Morgott's blade now ripples with the same energy that Melina has been striking him with. Morgott turns to see Melina. She sends a wave of golden energy at him as he takes stance to rush her. His blade goes from vibrant gold to blood red as he rushes to stab at Melina. Melina jumps back, flipping away as she sends a wave of energy towards Morgott. He slashes with his red energy, just slicing the air right in front of Melina. And as she lands safely, the golden energy smashes into Morgott's face. As Morgott's blade goes back to gold, Melina lights her blade with gold and slashes at Morgott. Just as she makes contact, he slashes her twice with a golden dagger. She leaps back and sends out a wave of energy as Morgott slashes her with his sword. She dashes underneath the hammer following the sword to land safely next to me as I slash across Morgott's back. Melina goes for a stab as I go to slash and Morgott slides away. He lifts his hand and summons more golden swords. I roll and sprint away to escape their range, but Melina gets caught by the swords. As she stands up, Morgott slides to me, and I leap into the air. As I bring my axe down, he sidesteps me and slashes twice across my side as he slides away. He comes at me with a swipe as I roll under his blade. I return with a slash as he cartwheels to avoid the hit, slashing me as my blade hits the ground. I frantically roll, trying to catch my bearings, and Morgott's blade turns red as he takes stance. Just as I exit the roll, he stabs forward, skewering me. He raises his blade above his head and grabs the blade with the other hand, pulling farther for more of a slingshot while I suffer from the pain. He releases and brings the blade down. I bounce as I crash off the ground, standing back up a distance away. Melina summons a great illusion of the Erd Tree that begins to heal us and sends waves of golden energy that strike Morgott's back. Morgott rushes at Melina with his bloody blade, and Melina dodges. He then continues his flurry of blows as they strike back and forth. I try to strike him, but he keeps stepping out of the range as I attack. I sprint at Morgott and come in with a slash from behind. I make contact and follow up. Morgott spins, hitting me with his tail, then leaps backwards to avoid the next strike. It makes contact before he can get out of range, and he stumbles. Morgott stumbles as he falls to the ground, exploding into a white dust. With the battle complete, Melina disappears. I then find myself back in front of the stairs to the Erd Tree. I slowly climb the stairs, and as I do, I come to a door covered in thorns. The thorns are impenetrable and will not allow me entrance. None may enter the Erd Tree. Confused and shocked, I return down the path and see a Grace. I sit at the Grace and Melina appears. She says, "Hello again, old friend," and asks for a second to speak. She asks if I was unable to enter the Erd Tree and tells me the thorns are impenetrable. She tells me the only way to claim the Elden Ring and become the Elden Lord is to pass the thorns. She reveals that this is her purpose. She asks me to take a new journey with her, to the flame of ruin upon the snowy mountain tops of the giants. She can set the Erd Tree aflame and guide me down the path to becoming the Elden Lord. She then hands me a medallion that will activate a lift in the capital. This journey just gets more and more complicated. I have made my way to the Erd Tree as I have been told to do since the beginning. Now I find the path blocked, and it appears the only way to enter the tree is to set it ablaze. Frustration and doubt plague my mind. Is this all worth it? Was Melina already aware of the entrance being blocked and chose to waste my time? From the beginning, Melina has been saying that she is to burn away and be left without a body. Has she been manipulating me to do her bidding? Marika once promised that we would have the power to return and claim the Elden Ring. Was this her plan? Was Melina her daughter? Am I playing the part I am forced to play? Queen Marika wanted a Tarnished to become a god. Praetor Rykard wanted to devour all of the gods, leaving only himself to become one. And Ranni wants to erase it all, leaving everything in darkness with her as a god. It seems everyone wants to be a god. But me? All I want is for the people I grow to care for to stop suffering. Rogier, Nefeli, Iji, Blythe, Raya, and now Yura. I feel the heat in my mind, growing stronger and flaring, as it feels like something nearby is calling to me. This world is cruel. But maybe Ranni is right. If anyone should be a god, it should probably be her. I will go to the mountaintops of the giants, and I will burn the Erd Tree.